It's showtime. We're live. All right, people. How's everybody doing? All right. I'm using the light on the camera, and I don't know if that's too distracting. People see those orange circles in my eyes. All right, I'm going to bring it down just a touch in terms of luminosity. Whatever. I just brought it. No. One more. There we go. Boom. How's everybody doing? Not surprised, no mod yet. No. I think there's a mod. There should be a mod. It was, did not I authorize Uncivil Law and Nate Brody to be mods? Unless it's only a mod for that particular stream and then it resets afterwards. Okay, while everyone comes in, I'm going to greet and meet or digitally greet everybody who's in the chat. Share the link around. I don't know how efficiently YouTube is notifying people, but let's just see who we've got in the house. We've got Uncivil Law in the house. I may be doing a live stream with Uncivil Law sooner than later. Coordinating things is very difficult. Bill Barry. Sorry, I thought we had William Barr in the house. There was one other one. Tabasco Canine Academy. How you doing, guys? Let's see what we got down here. We're going to just do this for the intro while people flock in on No, it's too distracting. No, it's not too distracting. Is it too distracting, the lights in my eyes? I'll try to keep my head tilted down while everyone flocks in on this day. We're in Montreal, Canada. It was snowing this week. It was blistering cold, below zero this morning, and we went for a little bike ride jog, and it was nice, but everyone got cold and came in for hot chocolate. Viva, are you on Top Chat or Live Chat? I am on Live Chat, but I'm in StreamYard, so the chat comes in slower in StreamYard than it does in the real time in the YouTube channel. If you hear any noise upstairs, it's a wonderful. It's a wonderful. The kids are watching Groundhog Day, no joke. And we are. They're going to watch Groundhog Day every day until this is over. That's going to be the punishment for having done nothing wrong. Miss Poffles says, hi, Viva. Hello, Miss Poffles. Miss Poffles. Oh, let's see. We got 0 Hour TV 256. Zero, how you doing? Everybody, 0 Hour also has a YouTube channel. If you want to plug it, Zero, send it in there. We're in Alabama, and it is unseasonably cold. Yeah, it's not warm here. Let's just say we had a few nice days. It's still nice and sunny, but it makes it difficult to go biking when it's that cold. Dapper Dave 527. Viva, why do you suggest llama with hats? Now I cannot unwatch that thing. Okay, so first of all, by the way, how apropos is this? I was born to be wild, but only till 9 p.m. or so. It's actually not accurate, but I was born to be wild. Yeah, llamas with hats. Okay, Dapper. I watched that with my kid. We started watching the first 3 episodes. Like, oh, okay, this is interesting. It is a work of art. It's an absolute work of art. And it is touching. It's touching to get that involved in a crazy animated cartoon. I had to read not a synopsis, but rather an analysis of it to actually make sure I understood it. And I didn't actually understand it. And I read a few interpretations, and now I believe I understand it. That's good. Dapper Dave, nice to see you here also. Let's see what we got. Oh, let's see. Hold on. No, sorry, I missed one here. Anthony Plack says, I agree. We should consider a class action on the referral. If you watched past the first episode, it's all on you. So first things first, how is everybody doing today? Daisy May says, happy Sabbath. Anybody who's, depends which Sabbath you're celebrating, but anyone who's celebrating the Sabbath probably wouldn't be watching this live stream in real time. Before we get started, I'm going to post this link here. Somebody sent this on Lemon, what's his name? Lemon GF on Twitter, who I follow, posted this. I retweeted it. It is a musical version of a Jocko Willink clip from one of his podcasts. The substance of what Jocko Willink says is beautiful and insightful to a degree that you have to have experienced something like that in order to be able to relate or even have those reflections. But the music is beautiful. I don't know who Akira the Dawn is. I don't know anything about the channel. I don't know anything about their politics. It's just a beautiful song. Everybody should listen to it. It's 9 minutes of reflection. And also tweet it to Jocko Willink so that this guy should, if he doesn't know Akira the Dawn exists or this song exists, so that he should see it. Catastrophe, first super chat in the house. I'm gonna do as many comments as I can, as well as the super chats. The moose is on the loose in the hoose. Thank you for the stream. We're gonna do different times. The 9:30 streams are good, but the kids have to be asleep. I have to be not too tired. And my risk is when I lie down to put the kids to bed, if I think it's 50-50 that I'm gonna fall asleep with them, I can't call a stream. And then I'll try during the day so that people in different time zones can get in. So we'll see which hours of the day are more convenient. I was going to bring up a comment that I cannot bring up. Akira Dawn Blast from the Past. See, I never heard of the person. Akira the Dawn, not Akira or Dawn. Am I familiar with Bob Loblaw's Vlawg? I've heard about it. I don't watch it, and but I've heard of him many times. Oh yeah, so this is an interesting one here. Juan says, your interview with Robert Barnes on InfoWars was insightful. So it's an interesting thing. Robert Barnes has been, has graced my channel multiple times with his presence, with his knowledge for, when there was actual law going on in the world, legal stuff. Now that things are on hold, Robert started a show. I don't know if it's every day or every other day or what the schedule is, and invited me on. I didn't actually know where, I didn't appreciate the full platform of where it was going to go on and who would see it. But it was on InfoWars, and it was a 1 hour segment or 1.5 hours with Robert Barnes. We talked about what's going on in the world, and it's interesting. It was fun. I love Robert. It is an interesting thing to be on someone else's platform as opposed to having someone else on your platform, from a spiritual, emotional, psychological, and exposure perspective. But yeah, it was fun. Thank you for. If you haven't seen it, I think it's called band.television. I sent the link out on Twitter and, on social media, but it was a fun talk. Very interesting being on someone else's channel. Okay, so where do we start with the week? Let's start with the boring one. That HOA vlog, the Homeowners Association letter of demand threatening to evict, foreclose on people who are conducting business from their property during a pandemic. Or, this may have had nothing to do with the pandemic because that letter of demand, to the extent that it were legitimate, could have been drafted any day of the week under any other circumstances. Band.video is where it is. Okay, thank you very much, Whiskey Blue 923 is taken. I figured out I have a pet peeve now. It's not hate comments or hater, what are they called? Hater comments or negative comments or troll comments. It's comments that illustrate that someone hasn't actually watched the video that is specifically addressed in the video. And I got one comment, or there were a few, that said I didn't do any due diligence to verify the legitimacy or the provenance, as we say, of that letter of demand. I said it in the video. I don't care if the letter of demand is legit or not legit, if it was a prank, if it was a jerk neighbor who sent it without authorization. The context doesn't matter. The legitimacy or the authenticity of that particular letter of demand doesn't matter. It's reflective. And I've seen worse stuff go on in condo boards in real life, like as a lawyer, as an involved, interested party. That letter was not over the top egregious. It's one thing if it were fake and someone moved on that letter on the basis of that letter, but that letter could be fake or real. The context could be attenuated or not. That letter, I've seen things like that not in homeowner associations per se, in condo boards and co-ops. Really, really outlandish stuff. And people were saying, totally far-fetched that the homeowners association can foreclose on the property. If it's not far-fetched, in condos, there are provisions that say if you breach the laws, if you breach the bylaws, there can be seizure and sale under judicial authority. If you owe condo fees, they can sell the property, pay whatever they owe, and then remit the balance to you. So the provenance of the letter I couldn't care less about, and I'm not really going to go into it on an individual basis because I don't care. I'm not revealing the names of the people involved, and I don't care to. But it was just the idea. It drives me nuts when people make comments that I've specifically addressed in the video, and they either haven't watched the video or they totally disregard the fact that I addressed it specifically in the video, and then leave a comment where someone who doesn't watch the full video, whatever. But I get over those pet peeves. Did the homeowner association letter apply to people working at home as requested by their employer, like telecommute? So apparently the context of that particular letter, which I didn't go into and I didn't know at the time, and I still don't really care, is that the homeowner was told to work from home, sought guidance from the homeowners associations as to what they could do, and that was the response letter. One of the funniest responses, and I wish I had pinned it, someone said, if the president drafted that letter from their home, they might that they too are working from home and should too be subject to the same draconian sanctions as what were set out in that letter. So it was funny. It's funny. But Thomas Smith says, hi from California, Viva. How you doing? How's California? I got family in California. I want to do a live stream with my aunt who owned, and we'll see what happens, a business in California. And we're going to see where this goes. Yogi Bear says 228 likes, 228 watching, 35 likes. Come on, people. I demand you like this. I demand you agree with Yogi Bear. Yogi Bear is a very wise bear who we all know from that cartoon when we were kids. Above the thumbs up, share the link because it's we don't always get notifications. So that home, and let me just tell you some crazy things in condo boards, like what types of businesses you can run from your unit, even if you're zoned commercial or you have the ability to. But the thing that most people don't understand, the flip side to that, is there were a lot of jokes about the massage parlor. I've been in condo boards where you have people running. Massage parlors are the big example, the extreme example. But even like a chiropractor or an osteopath running a business from their unit in the time of the pandemic, you don't necessarily want people running in and out, going up the elevator, strangers in common portions during these crises. But yeah, that letter was definitely. Oh God, you imagine what's going to happen after the pandemic? They probably didn't get along before any of this, and that letter was not out of the blue. You imagine what's going to happen after this is over? This is how people wake up with like slash tires and dog do on their front porches when you act stupid, even if you're allowed to under the letter of the law, the strictest letter of your bylaws. Tommy Stewart says, you get fined in California now for not wearing masks. Thoughts? I mean, it's all there has to be a correlation, and we're going to move into I think we can say the word on the YouTube now, but we'll go with my Sharon Osiris because I like it. There has to be a correlation between a correlation of effectiveness that has to be necessary and proportionate to the deprivation of liberties or the imposition of obligations. And so, first of all, thank you for the super chat, by the way. So if they're going to fine you, if they're going to require you to wear face masks, there has to be an urgent threat, in my opinion. I mean, this is the same criteria that the courts apply, but it has to be a sufficiently severe threat, and there has to be an actual demonstrable correlation of effectiveness. So, they say there's a threat outside, so everybody has to wrap a scarf around their face, but the scarf isn't sufficiently doesn't block particulate matter at a certain sufficiently high level. Well, they're asking you to do something that doesn't actually resolve the problem if there's a problem there to begin with. But I mean, I understand it. I just say the more extreme the measures, the more necessary they have to be, and the more effective they actually have to be proven and not just suspected. I saw Michigan now is banning travel, banning visiting relatives and friends. And it's one thing, this is the thing. We're entering week 5 now in Canada. We have entered week 5. My knuckles are bleeding. Or they're not. My hands are still extremely chapped. But we're entering week 5. I have been bringing groceries and supplies to my parents, and like a neurotic fool, I put it on the door, ring the doorbell, then walk down the stairs to be 3 meters from them. They haven't seen anybody or come in close contact with anybody in 5 weeks. We as a family have not either. I'm sure I could go see them, and in my discretion, if I thought it were appropriate, or if I didn't want to be one of my parents' kids who gets them sick, I might do it. But my other siblings might blame me if I did. But I trust my discretion. And if the government were to say I can't visit my parents, all things considered, I would go. The restrictions have to be proportionate to the risk, and they have to be proven to be effective, or at the very least, highly suspected to be effective. So let's see. I've been using my balaclava, not baklava, with some filter material to go to the grocery store. Yeah, look, I mean, it's common sense. I mean, if you have a filter over your face, it's going to filter things out and in. It makes total sense. The question is, without that, would there be problems? And I did it with my Tommy John underwear as a joke on the one hand, but also just because it has gotten to the level of religious protect. It's gotten to a level of sort of like, not obsessive compulsive. It's sort of like, not compulsive either, but what is the word? Not religious. It's not the word. Oh, geez. Whatever. People are doing it now for the sake of doing it. Someone's going to remind me of what the word is that I'm looking for. Not religious, but along the same lines where superstitious. It's almost gotten superstitious. Like, wear a face mask. I saw a guy wearing a face mask, and then he took it down. And so, like, I'm wondering, not only is he not wearing the face mask, but it's on his chin, to touch it and bring it back up and down. I can understand why some people have said wearing a face mask does more harm than good when not done properly. It's like taking your face mask off to sneeze would be stupid, but it's gotten almost superstitious what people are doing, but it makes you feel better. I've been washing my hands. I sit at home. I haven't left the house in 5 hours. I spontaneously wash my hands because who knows what I just touched. And it makes me feel better. It's totally irrational, and I still do it. So wearing the face mask, it might not be effective. I suspect it can't be ineffective. It most likely is somewhat effective, depending on the risk. So, people are doing it. And people have done it for a long time in Asia, and maybe it'll become the practice in North America. Francisek Lalouche, how you doing? Czechs started wear masks on their own after 90% already wear masks. It became a law for the rest 10%. Families are okay. Travel is not banned. We're going to do, what is it called when you do the after the fact analysis? Is it called a retrospective? Hold on. Taking Kleenex. See, now I got to go wash my hands. First of all, Francisek, thank you very much. And thanks. I mean, this comment, this policy illustrates why, I had a labor law teacher in Université Laval, best labor law teacher ever. If anybody's watching who I went to school with, incidentally, I mean, or went to Laval, you'd know him. I don't want to say his name because I don't want to. He was a controversial character. He was what everyone on earth would consider to be center, maybe a little bit right of center. In Quebec City, this was extreme right before we even had the term extreme right. And he basically said, laws are never there to govern the majority. They are only there to govern the minority. And the minority of the people who are not going to follow the laws anyhow. By and large, when things are rational, the majority of people are going to behave rationally. And so policy really only ends up being prohibitive on everybody to specifically address the very small minority who would not follow the law in any case. And so, here, the vast majority of people are going to behave properly. The vast majority of people are going to govern themselves accordingly, based on what's going on. And then, so you don't need the government imposing these drastic measures that govern everybody and that penalize the people who are doing it properly. God. First of all, Francesca, thank you very much, by the way, for the super chat. And did I get Luke Bruins? I did not. Where is it? This is the one thing that I love about solo streams is I don't have to worry about interrupting myself to address the super chat. Luke Bronze. Michigan governor sued by activist. I mean, I don't know what words are going to get me in trouble here, but sued by an activist. Protests now allowed under lockdown order. Does this nullify the whole order since all activity can be freedom of assembly to protest? Hey, look, the reality is the freedoms that you are granted, or the freedoms that you should, your inalienable rights under the Constitution or under our Constitution, Charter of Rights, they'll get suspended in a time of war, in a time of crisis, in an emergency. It's just, that's what the nature of the emergency is, and the courts have upheld it. We talked about it with the three lawyers of the apocalypse. First of all, thank you very much, Luke, for the super chat. There's no point having a constitution if everybody is, I don't want to use inflammatory or hyperbolic rhetoric, but there's no point having a constitution or a country if everybody's sick or everybody's, being killed off by war. So at some point you have to suspend those liberties to protect those liberties, as Orwellian as it sounds to some extent. So the rights that you otherwise have, under normal times, they can be suspended in order to protect that which exists, in order for you to even have those rights once the emergency is no longer there. The only problem, and we've seen it time and time again, and everybody, Karen Strahan, who comments a lot of my videos, knows history as well. A lot of these temporary measures become permanent, and we'll see what happens after this. Frashy says, how can Section 11 of the Canadian Charter and the Jordan decision apply to a criminal case with courts only seeing urgent matters? What allowances be permitted, if any? So I don't know I don't exactly know what the criteria is now. I know that the courts are trying to do Zoom or they've already done teleconference and they've already done, phone conferences for things. But I know they're trying to expand that to be more efficient so that they can not be totally crippled during this time. I don't know what the emergency. I don't know what would be an emergency sufficiently. I mean, I guess it would be dictated by the local rules of whatever jurisdiction that you're in. But yeah, oh my God, my back hurts. That dog that we have, the paralyzed one, every morning I got to like rush her out of the house and then try to tickle pee out of her, and it's killing my back, and I can't see my osteopath because lockdown orders. So the measures are, it's become superstitious on the one hand, and it's become like a competition on the other. Like, and it's almost like to see who's holier than thou now. One country does one thing, one state does one thing, another state, to show that they're even more responsible than the other state, has to go one step further. Then every governor wants to show how precautionary, the precautionary measures they're taking, how strict they can get in the name of safety, and it becomes like not just a domino effect. It's like the domino effect of the small domino pushing over the bigger domino, and then by the end of it, that little domino is basically pushing over a door because of the momentum it's created. Oh, that is a beautiful analogy. Remember that analogy, because that really is almost where we're at, where you get like some countries doing some things, and then another country is, oh, we got to be one step safer than you, because that's how the government proves its worth. It's not by giving autonomy or independence to the citizenry. It is by justifying its own existence and its own expansion by imposing the one safety measure after another. But oh man, yeah, I hope nobody face-palmed at my analogy. DJ says my hair looks great. I'm gonna call it the Corona Fro. I'm gonna go with it. I think I'm not cutting it. See, I'll go back to the olden days when I had hair down to my shoulders. Pissing contest would be another way to describe it. It is what it is, but it becomes that increasing momentum to the point where you realize, like, how the heck are we closing doors? We only started with a little domino. I love that. Dr. Fauci says everybody will still get exposed. There is no safety going on, just limitations on liberty. Well, the idea, just to not strawman Fauci or the experts' positions, we may all get exposed. The rationale is to temper that exposure so that it doesn't overwhelm the healthcare system, et cetera, et cetera. That's the rationale. Whether it ever would have gotten, and then we've seen, like, again, in the battle of information, and then this goes back to the vlog on the aerials showing mass graves in New York that turned out to be nowhere near what the media had reported it to be. And incidentally, by the way, Google mass graves New York. All that comes up in all of the search results are the inaccurate or incomplete stories. It is what it is. It is Orwellian. And half the stories don't mention Hart Island. For anybody who hasn't seen that vlog, that was the story that New York is digging mass graves, aerial footage of a mass grave being dug, and mass burials with the victims. The initial reports that I saw didn't mention that this was Hart Island, which is a potter's field, which I never knew what potter's field meant either. Potter's field means a place where how did they describe it on the internet? Paupers. They described it as paupers. Poor people, homeless people, diseased people were buried en masse. And so the initial reports didn't mention that it was Hart Island. Maybe they didn't know. Maybe they just saw a trench being dug and filled with mass graves with people in white coats and didn't even think to ask questions. Turns out it's Hart Island, and it turns out that mass burials there go on all the time because there are people without family, poor people who don't have family for proper burials, and so they don't do it individually. And I suspect they also don't do it during the winter, so you have periods where they do mass burials. And I went online and within 5 minutes found video footage of what looks like ostensibly the very same mass burial from the 1990s, inmates digging trenches and burying people en masse. And so it's so that was the misreporting, which was not necessarily corrected anytime quickly, and certainly not by the time the damage was done. I'm going to get back to it in a second. El Rojo Grande, nice to see you again, El Rojo. El Rojo, the Red River. I don't know. I know it's Rojo from Dora the Explorer. It's the only reason why I know it. Is it Rojo or Roje? Anyways, I thought it was red. I live in Michigan. My employer is forcing us back under false essential employee status. They're requiring masks, but only have enough for a single shift. They say they're going to sanitize them and reuse them. What would you do? I would never use a mask that touched anybody else's face, my Sharona Cyrus or not. That's like I was going to make a filthy analogy, but yeah, I wouldn't do that. Forcing you back. I mean, this is where I had discussed. First of all, El Rojo, thank you very much for the super chat. And this is where I had discussed a policy decision. I personally would probably feel willing to go back to work. I would take certain precautionary measures, but what I do doesn't require me to interact in any meaningful way with, close contact with other people. But I can understand people who are too scared to go back to work, whether or not they were forced into this scare by the media or whatever. Separate issue. I can understand people who are too scared to go back to work. The government should offer them compensatory EI or UI, whatever we want to call it, if they're too scared to go back to work, and be prepared to offer hazard pay to those who are willing to go back to work. All of that, even though it would cost money, would cost less than what's being done now in terms of the aggregate damage costs. What would I do? I would bring my own face mask. I would wear my own underwear. I would make my own face mask. And depending on my level of fear, depending on what I had to do, I might not go back to work. I mean, depending on my level of fear, but I probably would, but it doesn't matter what I would do. The issue is people are going to be too scared to go back to work. It's understandable. Reusing face mask. Okay, that's the analogy I'll use. When I go to my dentist, if I don't see them take out the stuff that they use to clean my teeth from the actual sanitation device, I never. So I'm not using reused face masks. I don't care if they're boiled in acid. I wouldn't use them. I wouldn't use them then because they wouldn't be effective. Yeah, but it's a real problem. I mean, I totally understand the concern. Tommy Stewart says plans based on how people will react to it later. We're going to see what did I say we called it? The retrospective? There's going to be a big retrospective on this in terms of what we did, whether or not it was effective, and also hopefully an actual analysis of the spread of the virus itself, and see, if the projections were wrong, why were they wrong, and actually to understand this particular virus, but also how we should respond in the future. Thank you very much, Tommy, and thank you very much, Travis Nunn. The Frantisek says rules are softer and softer. Shops will open soon, no doubt, and we see we see it going that way in the States. And this brings me to the point of politicizing the remedy. But let me get there in a second. What was I just talking about? It was the going back to work, the retrospective on this. Whatever. In Quebec, we're talking about kids going back to school possibly before May 4th, which is good. Which is good because life cannot go on like this, period. And it can't go on like this because it's difficult. It can't go on like this because it's untenable economically, just bottom line. It can't go on like this because it's unsustainable spiritually. And it can't go on like this because a lot of people are not going to put up with this. And so the idea, like, we've done the mitigation. The models keep getting revised, and that's fine. The models keep getting revised, and then people say, they're getting revised because people are listening to the social distancing model. But from what I understand, and I had a little exchange on Steven Crowder, because I see his tweets, but I want to see the backup. The models, they're updating the models, but the models themselves had already factored in extreme social distancing. So hold on. Someone just said something about the models here. Let's just see this. Sebastian Papa says the models used in COVID are the same minds using similar hyperbolic confabulations for climate models. Well, at the very least, maybe, but at the very least with the climate models, they didn't actually go and shut down the world on the basis of the worst case scenarios of those models. And then it's like it's an amazing thing because the models we quickly went from using models to govern policy to using models to shut the world down, and no nuance, no attenuated application of the models. So like with El Rojo Grande, more logical measures could have been implemented. Isolate the vulnerable. First of all, build up your freaking hospitals. That's what I was talking about in Michigan, where I said, like, when this is over, and I tweeted this out. When this is over, I'm not going to remember how the government saved us through ingenuity and foresight. I'm going to remember how we covered for their infrastructure failures through the wholesale forfeiture of our civil liberties. And in Michigan, the governor says, our hospitals are not equipped to deal with an influx of the virus, so you are all prevented from seeing your loved ones and families. That's not how responsibility works, and that's not how lesson learning works. And even if the models are right, and we have to prevent an overflow of the hospitals, if the hospitals can't deal with the overflow, you build that up ASAP, and at the same time as mitigation. And I know maybe they're doing this instead of. I think they're pretty slow to get to the manufacturing ventilators locally. Now I'm going in circles, but I just got distracted by a color here. So let me bring this up. Christopher Conlon says Fifth Circuit upheld Texas limiting abortions. District Court then issued new ruling against Texas that narrowed the governor's order. How did that not fall under the Fifth's prior ruling? This would have to be a question. Save it for when I do the next live stream with Nate, Brody, and Kurt on civil law, because I don't know. Couldn't even venture a guess. So yeah, politicizing the response, people, because we are getting to the point where it's very interesting. Like, having followed this, I'm not vocal about what I think people are doing right or wrong. I express myself from time to time, but I'm not like Scott Adams vocal, dedicating an hour a day to this. What does he call it? He's got the swaddle part, but he's got the other one. Christopher, by the way, thank you very much for the super chat. I've been following this from the beginning, and it is interesting to see at some point in the beginning, people were just, you have to live it to learn it. And people at the beginning were saying, we're not going to sacrifice our elderly for the Dow Jones. And there's no one on earth who's going to disagree with that. And it's only once all of these measures were implemented with the full force that people saw unemployment numbers or applications reach 6 million in the States, 1 million in Canada in 1 month, where people started personally experiencing the impact that this would have, and realizing that it is not an abstract impact people out of work. It's not an abstract impact being locked in your house. There are costs to all policy decisions. And at first people didn't appreciate this. Then the measures go in, and then the measures come in even harder, and then the measures come in even harder and harder and harder. Then people start appreciating it. And then people start saying, we got to get some people back to work. Why aren't we getting those who are willing to go back to work? Why aren't we getting people in rural areas where there's not an issue with this back to work? And so people learn through their own. I mean, I always say people learn through their mistakes faster than they learn through other people's mistakes, but they also they learn quickly through their own mistakes. Kids are going crazy upstairs. And people are appreciating the consequences of this. You imagine they're intangible for the time being, but there are people who are not getting elective surgeries. There are people who are not getting, who are not going to the doctor now. The people who are not going to the dentist. There's a cost to all of this. There are studies that prove that not getting your teeth cleaned, the bacteria goes into your body and can cause heart disease. I hope that was the exact method. But there were proven health effects of not getting your teeth cleaned, and that's going to have an impact. It's going to shorten people's lives. It's all a trade-off. But right now, people are seeing the full, disastrous, utterly crippling and suffocating effects that the measures have had, and people are not going to put up with them for a lot more time. That's for sure. When I hear doctors on the news talking about these measures undefined for the next 18 months, it's not just a pipe dream. There wouldn't be anything in 18 months that would be worth preserving with these measures. Did you see that Adam Neely and Legal teamed up against you on Katy Perry versus Flame lawsuit? Did they team up against me per se, specifically, or just in general? But I have no doubt. Okay, first of all, I'm nobody. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for this. I have not seen it, but do tell me, not in a super chat, did they team up against me specifically or just indirectly or referencingly? And if they did, all's fair in love and war, but I'll go back to my impeachment vlogs and I will commend my own track record. The wonderful thing about making videos is they don't disappear, and we can assess the accuracy of one's analysis, understanding, and predictions. And there's nothing I can do to take it back, and there's nothing I would want to do to take it back. I'm going to go watch it afterwards. I did see that they... so we got Bill on the board says, that's true about the bacteria. I'm a dentist. No, I remember it, because when I learn something that traumatizes me, I never forget it. I want to know if they were talking about me specifically or just tangentially. Sakaki Onse, how you doing? Funny thing, the Kansas Supreme Court is hearing a case right now on Zoom. My question, could virtual hearings become a mainstay in modern law? Hopefully, and they should. There's no reason why we have to go to court for 50% of the hearings. This triggered me. There is no reason why we have to go to court for 50% of the hearings. It's a waste of court money. It's a waste of our clients' money, and it's a waste of time. Half of the hearings should be done by Zoom, and another 10% should be done by telephone, because you don't need it. You just have to make sure that you can verify the identity of the person on the other line. But it should be a mainstay. This is one good thing that's going to come out of this, is it's going to be the forced digitizing of a number of industries that should have been better digitized from the get-go, healthcare being one of them. There's no reason why all of my medical information should not be digitized so that I can get it, click, everything sent to me by email by my doctor in a split second, not making a requisition and coming by mail 3 weeks later. So, Sakaki, thank you very much. And 100%, there will be lasting benefits from this. There will be lasting trauma, but it will mostly be like the reflexively avoiding your neighbor because you think by bumping shoulders with them in the park, you're going to somehow contract whatever. Okay, we're done. No more coffee. Catastrophe, combien de langues parlez-vous, or at least are broadly familiar with? My guess is 4. Francais, English, Latin, and a bit of Yiddish. So, English, French, bilingual. I spoke Hebrew for the longest time, but then it's that you forget quickly when you don't practice it, but it would come back if I had to. I tried to study German. I couldn't pick up German, but I was trying to learn it as a 20-year-old, not as a kid. My brother, who went and lived in Germany because he was a concert pianist, he has a different brain than me. He learned German, and he's fluent in German. He learned Italian as well. So I speak 2 languages fluently, and I can understand enough of the third to impress people when they don't think anybody understands Hebrew. But it's the benefit of learning languages when you're young, is your brain is just malleable. But when you get older, you get stubborn, physically and metaphysically, spiritually. Brandon Stringfellow, thank you very much for the super chat. Oh, and by the way, hold on, let me just catastrophe. Thank you very much. Every time I hear the word catastrophe, I think of Redonkulus in Shrek, and it's ruined the word for me. Zoom sucks. Zoom may suck. They're going to have better alternatives. Zoom, first of all, StreamYard is very good. Free shout out for StreamYard. But teleconference, doesn't matter what means. There is no reason why court should require in-face appearances for the vast majority of the stuff that gets heard in court. Trials, yeah, trials, examining witnesses, yeah. But when there's no witnesses involved, when it's pleadings and reading from documents, it can be done just as effectively via teleconference. They have the capabilities already, but they only use them in exceptional circumstances. Like, if there's a witness in Switzerland or something, they'll use it instead of forcing the witness to come over and buy a plane ticket. But it'd be amazing. JT, thank you very much. Oh, yeah. So hold on. So did we get an answer on the legal? He's not legal is a partisan formerly trained in law, not a lawyer in my humble opinion, at least with his YouTube channel. Look, when he comes, his Twitter feed is more obvious than his videos, but he's entitled to it. I don't judge him for it. I would assess. I won't judge him for it personally. I will just assess him accordingly. But hold on. Did he specifically mention me? The other thing is, I have been upgraded, and Nate Brody's in the house. Nate, how you doing? We haven't texted yet today. Hope everything's going well. Joshua Cornelius says, if you don't think this new mass hapophobia won't further increase the public animosity and division, you just don't know human beings. It's interesting. I don't want to presume your perspective of the world, Joshua. Thank you very much for the super chat. I would say that might have to do with one's perspective of the world. One can look at it and say it's going to further divide people. Others can look at it and say it's going to bring communities together. Quebec, for example, now finally logically is saying, hey, let's focus on buying local. Like, let's focus on getting produce from Quebec farms and not from California. And not there's anything wrong with it, getting stuff from California, but it could divide. It could also further unify, but we'll see. It certainly can divide politically in the blame game as it will. But I think it can unify as a spiritual, human sort of community level. But there's always going to be blaming. Did we get an answer on whether or not I demand a smash brothers between the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse? Oh, that would be funny. Okay, I'm going to go look at Legal Eagle's video. Bottom line, I believe that history will judge my breakdowns and assessments of the impeachment as having been more accurate a prediction of the outcome than, say, other people on the internet, which is interesting. Do they not push Latin in Quebecois law schools? No. I mean, there's no Latin in law schools or high schools. Latin, it's like you have to choose to learn it if you want. Hemophobia, the fear of touching or being touched. Oh, okay. Well, then yeah. It's mind blowing. It's mind blowing. Another thing I made a joke about on Twitter. I saw people arguing in the park that they were within 2 feet. The one guy saying, "You came within 2 feet of me." Neighbors crossing the street. I like that word. Haphophobia. I'm going to add it to my list. The funny thing is, I'm totally neurotic. I've known about it before. I have some issues. I'm not affected by this. I think I'm abiding by all of the the recommendations, but even in my neuroses, I think it's a little over the top. When you start to resemble Jack Nicholson in The Shining, it's time to get out of the house. We're lucky here. We can get out of the house. First of all, Hot Soup, thank you very much. We can get out of the house. One of my kids, the middle, learned how to bike, so I've been like following her on my feet while she bikes. Yesterday, I did some loops with the kids, like just some local loops around the block. And I jogged 12.2 kilometers like 4 days ago, and I did 8.6 kilometers yesterday, which makes you very dizzy to run in circles. Even if the circles are big, it makes you dizzy. Plus, it makes one leg bigger than the other, so you have to turn around and do the opposite loop. Thank you very much, Hot Soup, by the way. So let's see what we got here. This mess is going to bring U.S., Canada, Mexico closer in the supply chain, getting things out of China. 100%, as well as it should. You can figure, like, being autonomous and independent as a nation is one thing, but working closely with your neighbors is another. And it should. There's the idea that that 80% of our pharmaceuticals, essential supplies, essential materials are coming out of China, and not China, but even, I don't know, India, other overseas. It's unacceptable, and it's illogical. And if we don't learn that lesson, like I've been saying from the beginning, we're learning the wrong lesson. So let's see something here. First of all, Lord Meadow. Sorry. Flattery may occasionally, I'll bring up first of all, thank you. Good God, you are one handsome guy. I'm wondering if my mother has started a Lord Meow Meow. I enjoy your videos and your Harry Potter glasses. Thank you. Oh, I was looking at old videos the other day where I had my translucent glasses, and some styles don't age well. Let's see here. We got Joshua Cornelius. How long did you cry when you heard UFC was shut down? I'm still mourning. Politics is one heck of an amazing thing, because Dana White wanted to do it. You know that you can do it safely, because another thing, they don't need the crowds. You figure they make a lot of money from the crowds, but they make the money from the PPV sales. Crowds would certainly increase pay-per-view. I'm not sure. I would still watch pay-per-view even if there's no crowd, but crowds definitely make it more exciting. But there's politics in there. There are absolutely ways to maintain certain industries safely. Having two fighters fight of the demographic that are the most likely to not be affected by the My Sharona Cyrus, who can be tested beforehand. There's the production side of it where you have to worry about the people doing the producers and everybody, cameramen working within close proximity. But I didn't cry. It was just the logical outcome. But it'll come back, and so now that's where let's talk about this. I like Dana White. He's a good guy. He seems like a good guy. I mean, I think he definitely probably has some issues, but he seems to be rational. But I say that only based on his public persona. The politicizing the solutions now. This is where it's going to be. I hear people upstairs screaming. Trump has already said, we have to start with putting together a task force to get back to work. Legault in Quebec is talking about it. And then, you can so easily see how this is all going to get politicized, and not for the good reasons. There's going to be the naysayers who say we have to be uber safe, and we have to retain this stranglehold that the government now has over everybody. We shouldn't let people get back to work too soon. It's going to be dangerous, et cetera, et cetera. Then you can have the others saying, we need to in order to just in order to maintain our sanity, our economic viability. And you're going to have politicizing, which is going to involve the same misinformation, the same sabotaging, and it's going to be something to watch now as it goes through. Luke Bronze, would you do an episode on the legal argument of the precedent for the suspension of the Bill of Rights? I know insurrection and invasion is covered by Constitution. What else is permitted by law? I can do a live stream on it. In fact, I can do a live stream with Robert Barnes on it. That would be a phenomenally interesting. It would be a phenomenally interesting idea to do a stream on. I mean, maybe I'll get. Robert said we would go live again after our stream from last week. So I'll get. Maybe let me just screenshot that, and let me screenshot the whole question, and I will. Let me screenshot the question. Okay, I think I got it. UFC with no crowd, so you can hear the corners shouting, could catch on and be more popular than the crowds. Yeah, and you can actually you would hear the soul crushing slaps and punches and the sounds. I mean, even now, like when you hear a good knockout punch, it stuns you. If all you heard were the kicks and the slaps and the sweat and the drips, it would change it. Let's see here. Uncivil losses. If you do this, Robert Barnes, let me know. Like we can get the four. We have our four lawyers of the apocalypse. We can do it. UFC match: Viva Frei versus Legal Eagle. Well, I do have a little bit of Greco-Roman wrestling in my arsenal. ASMR UFC. Oh my god. Yeah, that could catch on certain YouTube channels. Let's see. Oh, I just saw something about Pride in the 90s was like that. Very crowd, yeah, because Pride in the 90s was in Japan, where like they would sit down and they would clap after a good knockout, but during the fights, I always watched it in as an adult. Yeah, they would. There was no screaming. It was amazing. Why they insisted on fighting with rubber bands like in a boxing rink, I never understood, because when they had to replace the fighter in the center of the ring, it made no sense. Joshua Cornelius, last one. It's time for a new Viva Frei legal movie review. Take care. I'm off to drive across Wyoming on my way to Massachusetts. Lucky to still be working. Joshua Cornelius, be safe, drive safe, stay healthy. Thank you very much. I have one in my back pocket. We just watched Liar Liar the other day, so that's fresh in the mind. But I have my most humorously, oddly accurate representation of the legal profession. I may have said it. I may not have said it. If I haven't said it, I'm going to do it sooner than later. So thank you very much. And it is in the books because it's very little stuff developing in the legal world to cover. So, Dapper Dave's in the house. Hold on, let's see this. I asked my conspiracy question. When they find a cure for the flu, my coronavirus shouldn't be just as effective for other flu viruses. Uncivil versus Barnes. Well, that's an interesting question. I asked my wife about this, how vaccines work for strains, and apparently they have to be tailored for the specific strain. I don't even understand it, and I know that I don't understand it, but apparently that's why they have flu vaccines for that are specific and only effective on H1N1, H1N2. I didn't even know about these things beforehand. So apparently they have to find one that's specific to this strain, which is very difficult because it's a very common and easily morphed strain of the coronavirus. Is effectively the common cold in terms of the nature of the strain, not in terms of the impact. So nobody misquotes me, but I was looking at a Lysol container, and it says kills 99.9% of the germs, blah, 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 and coronavirus. I was like, holy cows, they already changed their labels to indicate that their disinfectant works against the coronavirus. And the person I'm talking was like, no, it's that coronavirus has been around for ages. It's a class, but it's good to know. It's first of all, Dapper Dave, thank you very much. So politicizing the response, and it makes you cynical. And it's not to say that I'm not taking a position one way or the other. I'm not making a judgment. It's a game of chess. You know that it's going to happen. Trump is going to try to get the America back to work. And whether you hate him, love him, whether or not you agree with his response or disagree with it, whether or not you agree with him or disagree with him, everyone wants to get back to work. I'd say there are going to be people who are going to be scared, but everybody wants to get back to work, but everybody also wants to get back to work in a safe manner. Sorry, one last interruption there. I'm a pharmacist. I doubt there will be a vaccine ever for Francis de la Louche. Thank you very much. And we'll see. When the entire world is working on something, maybe we can be more productive or more efficient. Thank you very much, by the way. And so what's going to happen. It's playing out before it's going to play out. Trump is talking about putting a task force together, the object or the goal of which is to get America back to work. that some people, as much as they don't want Americans at risk, and as much as they don't want disastrous effects, they know that imagine the framing of responding to the virus. A lot of people are going to disagree with the way he responded, think it's bad, but a lot of people are not. To have effectively responded, then to have, above all that, gotten America back to work and gotten the economy not back on its rails, but at the very least back on the rails to bring it back on the rails before November. You know that politically people are not going to want that storyline. And so you can have people saying, we need to keep this going a little more. And then you begin politicizing all of it, if it hasn't already been politicized, which it has. But you know that the response is going to be politicized. And then you know that there's going to be wheels in the spokes to eliminate the effectiveness of or even the ability to get the economy back on track. Because if the economy gets back on track before November, you have a president who has not only been faced with a pandemic, responded to the pandemic, whatever criticism you have, and then gotten the economy back on track. I mean, if you're not politically aligned with the party that successfully does that, you may have not a vested interest, but you may not be too eager to see that happen too quickly, in as much as you want everything to get back to normal. Emmett Beach, thank you very much, says a Pennsylvania man died of head trauma and Sharona. I think people at the top are getting one big aggregate number with very little nuance or understanding. And now you mentioned that. Let me see what someone sent me, because it was I know the guy's name, but I'm going to forget it. Matt Christensen. I think that's the guy's name.
Did you know that?
Yeah, Matt Christensen. Okay, he just put out a video. If it was not today, it was yesterday. What's the date on the video? April 11th. I don't know what day it is anymore. April 11th. So Matt Christensen, to whom I'm subscribed, put out a video and talked about it. I mean, he has the sound clips of doctors saying X, Y, and Z, and saying how they're counting it, the liberal calculation or liberal qualification of what counts as a Sharona Cyrus related death. It's a battle for information out there, and I've no doubt that that's happening. But then, I mean, I have no doubt that it might happen. It might happen on purpose. It might happen by policy. It might happen by accident. I guess the real question is going to be how many head trauma cases of people dying with Sharona are being counted as. I don't think it's going to move the needle. I think the bigger question is for the people with multiple underlying illnesses that that might have had 9 months left in any case, in the best of circumstances, and they die from the underlying illness, but it was triggered by an acute response to Sharona. Then how does it go down? But this is the battle for information. Truth is the first casualty of war. And I mean, it is admittedly a war. We got Radim Neshut, another from Czechoslovakia. Very cool. Taking us back a few weeks, if I may, regarding stuff like Benjamin Hughes' suit and MXR Jukin. Have you heard about the Susie Liu drama? I have not. And if it's something that's not related to this, send me an email or DM me on social media, whatever. Send me an email. That would be great. If it's anything a la Benjamin Hughes, MKR, Jukin, I'm still waiting for an update on the Benjamin Hughes, but I don't know when they're going to get a judgment on their motion for fees. But man, that one and Keemstar are versus Lacoste are on my to-do list when there's something to do. Thank you very much, Radim. But Radim, David at vivafrei.com, and send me a link for the Susie Liu drama, but I'll Google it let me screenshot so I don't forget. I'm going to screenshot my face with this one. There we go. Okay. What else we got? Do I see Joshua Cornelius again? Where did it go? Okay, last one. What do you think of the idol? Okay, hold on. Let me get the actual chat so I can bring it up. Last one. This is the real last one. This is like every time I try to stack the golf balls, I tell my wife, last one. By the way, I'm going to do 5 golf balls before this is over. I can't do the 5 golf balls yet. And it's because I have too many different types of golf balls. And okay, this is the last one. What do you think of the Idaho prosecutor asking the governor to end the lockdown for constitutional reasons? It makes sense. I mean, it makes sense because you're going to deal with a backlash when you tell people they can't gather for Easter weekend. And it's not like, I appreciate you don't want them gathering and is the word sepulture? You don't want people gathering and like, kissing religious symbols or, going to kiss the Blarney Stone. But you can't prevent people with their religious convictions from gathering. You could ask, and you could require certain measures, implementation of like a 1 meter between each other on the pews or something. But the second you start curtailing people's religious freedoms, it doesn't get more no, it doesn't get more fundamental than that. I mean, it doesn't get more. It doesn't get more sacrilegious than that, I guess is what I have to say. So it makes sense. It makes sense because you have to balance the risks. What level of transmission is actually occurring in those settings? You know, the outbreaks we have in Quebec, I think it was 50% last time I checked, were in old persons' homes. And so it's ironic. You stop. First of all, there's a bunch of irony here. Irony being idiocy in terms of government policy. Ban people from meeting at churches, but don't, or synagogues or mosques or whatever, but prohibit religious gatherings, but release prisoners from jail while arresting others for breaching non-gathering orders. At the same time, not having outbreaks in old persons' homes because they're not taking proper precautions to actually protect the most vulnerable. It's a question of just not implementing the proper policy for what the actual risk and actual concerns are. But government is it's par for the course when it comes to government. So yeah, heart attack deaths have disappeared. This is information that I've seen it. I haven't independently verified it. I have friends that are doctors and that I'm asking, but even then, and even though I get anecdotal information from doctors, it's not stuff that I feel comfortable relaying to the world because it's not my information and I don't have the firsthand knowledge of this type of stuff or even the evidence. But I mean, look, you hear the doctors themselves talking. Go listen to Matt Christensen's video from today. It's on point. Yeah, this was okay. So this is another point that Christensen talked about, is that hospitals are paid $13,000 for My Sharona patients and $39,000 if they intubate them or put them on a respirator. I don't know if anybody heard that, but that was a kid upstairs. I don't know if the movie is over yet. Do you think the U.S. will take any actions against the WHO or China for the virus, whether through military or cutting off trade? Mike, so my doomsday, when my mind spirals, and I know it spirals off to the irrational, fearful side. When Boris Johnson was put in ICU, and I was thinking, like, my God, this is how WW3 starts. Is like, a world leader passes to this, then the blame starts, and then threats start, and then escalation goes. I think it's much less likely with anything military, just because logistically, geographically, also the world wouldn't allow it. Economically, the cut off trade. I don't even think that should not even be a sanction. That should be a self-preservation policy. So we'll see. We'll actually see what happens. Oh gosh, let's see. Respirators damage the lungs. Respirators damage lungs, can kill people if they are left on them. Success rate under 14%. USA. Not information that I have personally. Let's just see something. I saw something that said, oh, this is interesting. So they say, it's always the infamous, they say breathing in hot, steamy air will help with the pneumonia caused by the virus. So this is an interesting thing. I have no idea. This is not medical advice, period. Nothing. When I follow Dan Mace on Twitter, on YouTube as well. And for those of you who don't know, Dan Mace had his major breakout when he teamed up with Casey Neistat on YouTube. And Dan Mace, when he on Twitter said that he had been diagnosed with coronavirus, he said, this is what I'm doing, and I'm staying warm. I'm as hot as possible. And I thought that was an interesting thing for him to say, and I don't know why he said it, but I have read in various places that hotter temperatures might account for recovery or killing the virus. And then you look at the countries that are affected by the virus and those that are not, and you sort of make empirical observations. But I heard a correlation with temperature, and I saw Dan Mace tweet about it. It's worth what it's worth when it's unverified information. Tabasco Canine Academy. So, Tabasco's Canine Academy. Do you breed dogs, Tabascos, or do you train them? And if you do either of them, post your link in there and let people see. Thank you very much, by the way, Tabasco. Hold on, I didn't miss a handful. I missed a handful of super chats already? Impossible. It's not possible. Fleet Lord Avatar, if I missed any, you have to tell me. I thought I've been very good. Oh, wait, I see one from Catastrophe. Hold on, where is it? K9. Okay, so I see that I missed one. Vermont makes better maple syrup than Canada. Changed my mind. You've just given me an idea for a video. Okay, we're going to do a taste test. And we're going to see whose. I don't know if Vermont makes better maple syrup than Canada. All that I know is that Canada makes more maple syrup than Vermont. We make 70% of the global supply of syrup. And it's delicious. Thank you very much. But seriously, if I miss somebody's super chat, please tell me, because if anybody knows me, you will know that I will obsess about it. You missed mine, but it's okay. Mine was only $2. Al Martins, what was your question? Did you have a question? Al Martins, thank you very much. Sorry. And if you had a question, put it in there. And I will read it when I get to it, when I see it. I won. All right. Let's see what else. So politicizing the response, we're going to see what happens. He's going to copy strike the video. Good luck with that. But what is everybody? So what's everybody doing now to stay sane and stay healthy? I mean, people have to be getting exercise. Says I missed a minimum of 3. If anybody can find the ones that I've missed, let me know. What is everybody? Everybody should be getting vitamin D. I just read an article that said there might be a correlation between vitamin D and preventing all illness, which I think is sort of common sense. I missed Tommy's. What did Tommy say, people? If someone can put Tommy's. Okay, we got Al Martin says it was a statement had to do with the fake numbers due to stealing from other illness numbers. Okay, I got it. Thank you very much, by the way. Okay. So that's it. I mean, everybody has to be getting some exercise. Everybody has to be staying sane. I was playing paddleball with my kid, asking her if she ever thought that her only friends for 5 weeks would be her family members. All vitamins are essential. Come on, I mean, vitamin D is. I never appreciated the importance of vitamin D, but I do know that in the winter everybody feels a little depressed. Okay, Jim Payne says, I'm going to get to it right away so I don't forget. Would totally buy a Viva Frei U2's desk toy. You should do it. What's a U2's desk toy? Okay, I'm going to look into this. Screenshot. Davey504 had one and they are sold out now, like a bobblehead without the bobblehead. I can do that. I've always wanted to see my ugly face on something. This will be the face. Or maybe my funny face. Those circles are very distracting. Thank you very much, Jim Payne, for the super chat. And I'm sorry if I missed anybody else's. Wait, I see another one now right here. James Georgiou says, is there any legal authority for police in America to ticket parking lot churches if no one exits their vehicle? So this is the crazy thing. Like I've been seeing a lot of these articles about people getting tickets for gathering, for violating lockdown orders. I want to get a copy of these tickets so I can break them down and see what they look like. No one sent me one yet. So if anybody has gotten one, send it to me. If anybody knows someone who's gotten one, ask them to send it to me. I'm going to black out the names. I just want to see the violations. They're issuing these tickets. They're going to be contested. But the problem is I don't know what legislation they're issuing the tickets under, what provision of law it is. And if it's an emergency order, even an emergency measure has to be made into law. So I don't know if they're going to, if they're going to be validly contested or contestable, or if it's going to require a constitutional challenge afterwards, in which case it's going to be a class action lawsuit to contest all of these emergency tickets, which may not have been issued in virtue of any binding law or implemented law. Michael F. 6 balls. Geez, I got to get past 5 balls first. I'm going to try to do the 6 balls, like the golf ball, ping pong ball, golf ball, ping pong ball, golf ball, and another ping pong ball. I think I can do that. But right now, I want 5 golf balls. And my goodness, thank you very much, first of all, for the super chat. It's very generous. My goodness, if it happens, you will hear me screaming like the exact opposite of Princess Bride. You'll hear the scream echo through the valley of Montreal. If I successfully balance 5 golf balls. What is CHF currency? I'm curious about that. If anybody knows, who is corrupt and needs to be disbanded? We're also learning. We're learning a bit about these global organizations and their efficiency. We're learning the hard way. But when you have a responsible government and you have your own government, the question is, at what point do you need a global? I don't want to say global government, but global bodies. The purpose of global bodies should be very limited. Whether or not they're corrupt and need to be disbanded, they have not proven their competence this time around. In fact, they've proven that they can be more of a liability than an asset. So, okay, Brandon David says, the temperature you inhale will not kill the virus. Your body regulates incoming temp with your natural body temp. Otherwise, you'd burn your throat. Well, I mean, the interesting thing is like I was just the idea of temperature to begin with, like your body's temperature when you get sick goes up to presumably kill what as a response to kill whatever is making you ill. Then the problem is just if your temperature gets too high, then it ends up killing the body or doing damage to the body. Thank you very much for the super chat, by the way, Brandon. We got Daniel Cathers says, I've gone back to lifting barbells. Buddy who owns a gym has been making sure to help members buy and rent equipment. He's been getting on the local news here too. It's great. It's great. You know, there's a lot of ways for businesses to actually survive this, or at least continue to do business and be value added and continue to build brand recognition and goodwill, even if it doesn't build money or make money for the time being. So a lot of gyms are, a lot of gyms can do it. A lot of restaurants can do it just by even operating at a loss, but maybe still operating to offer takeout meals at a discount. A lot of people can survive and find ways to actually still survive and remain relevant and actually build goodwill, so that when when people go back to real life, they're going to remember the people that gave during this time. A funny thing is, I know my neighbors are in the park doing chin-ups and lifting dumbbells in the soccer nets, and each person gets a soccer net for a certain period of time, so they know that they're not within proximity of one another. The cops were there looking, and nobody was getting involved, and nobody was interfering. But everybody, I think we have pretty reasonable police officers in Montreal. I have heard of people getting ticketed for being too close to each other in public parks, but I haven't seen any of it. So until I see an actual signed citation, it's going to be news that I read in the Daily Sun or whatever it is. Thank you very much, by the way, for the super chat, both of you, Brandon and Daniel. Let me now bring out that get it off that super chat so I can see what's going on here. Confederation Helvetica Franc. Oh, well, now I got to Google what that is. That's nice to Confederation Helvetica Franc. It's very okay. I have more questions than answers now. Thank you for letting me know. Oh yeah, so that's it. We've been watching a lot of movies. I watched Borat the other day with my oldest. It's funny. I don't know if I was in a bad mood. I don't know if I'm getting older. I don't know if I'm getting crankier. I did not find it funny. The parts of the movie I found funny were all of the scripted parts. The parts that I did not find funny were the exploitive, mean-spirited, mocking and demeaning of what I think were real people. If the people weren't real, maybe it gets funnier. Then I might have had more fun laughing at a scripted movie than one that purports to be unscripted. But I did not like the way they treated the people at the table on the etiquette. I didn't like the way they treated. It's easy to make people look stupid by Swiss franc. Okay, I got it now. It's easy to make people look stupid when you come off as friendly and you get people to behave in a way that they might not otherwise behave just because whatever. Didn't like it. Viva Frei, your TP video, best Sharona Cyrus video ever. It is. Thank you very much. The sassy 1962. That can't possibly be because of the year in which you were born, based on the avatar. Yeah, I didn't like Borat. Now I'm nervous to watch Bruno. I have all these DVDs because in my younger, more immature days, I bought Ali G, which I think I'm going to watch Ali G, the movie, because it's all scripted and it's not as exploitive. Bruno, I'm nervous about watching. Definitely can't watch The Dictator with my kid. Borat is an ass. No, I don't know. It's weird how you watch the same movie at different periods of your life and it means something different. The funny stuff in Borat was the stuff that was scripted humor, and where I know that people were not getting exploited and degraded and having their lives ruined because they said something. Ali G was dope. The Ali G was, I'm going to have to start watching it to see if I still find it as funny as I did back in the day. I still have not acknowledged Tommy's super chat. I'm not acknowledging another comment until Tommy's super chat is replaced in the comment section so I can respond to it right away. Tommy's super chat. Viva, say happy birthday. Okay, hold on, people. Calm down. I watched. Okay. Viva Frei, say happy birthday, Annie. That's Tommy's super. Annie, do I have my harmonica down here? I don't have my harmonica. Annie, happy birthday. It's terrible that you should be celebrating a birthday this way. Happy birthday. May all of your reasonable wishes come true. I don't know what your wishes are. Happy birthday, Annie. Tommy, sorry for missing the super chat. And dare I ask how old you are? It makes absolutely no difference. Age. You know what the funny thing is? That's what I wanted to say. Every day feeling like the same. It is the moral of the spiritual lesson of this quarantine period is the spiritual lesson in Groundhog Day. And it's an amazing thing. Is how do you make meaning? How can you make meaning of a life if the life is the same day over and over again? And it's okay, Tommy Stewart. Thank you very much. I'm sorry about missing the super chat. I thought I was doing good here. How do you make meaning of days that are all the same? And it's a weird thing to find meaning under these types of circumstances. And in Groundhog Day, it's like, yeah, at some point, it's like every day is the same. And the meaning he made in that movie is the meaning we have to make here. Joshua Cornelius, you said it was the last one, the last two ago. Joshua Cornelius says the Who's souls should be disbanded in a new consortium of all the world's universities and laboratories with a consensus board of at least 24 members to vote and direct. No more director general. It seems logical and it seems reasonable. And thank you very much, Joshua. Again, why wouldn't governments? I have to see exactly the internal functioning of the WHO. I don't really know how they operate, but yeah, it's what it is. Sky Davis says my daughter's 16th is 5 days away. Well, you're gonna have to postpone the Sweet 16 or do something very creative about it. Okay, an hour. Let's go. We're gonna go for a few more here before we wind this up because I think my wife. I hear the credits rolling, but the kids might still be somewhat patient. Hold on, bruh 3.0. Thank you very much. This should be good for at least 4 to 5 rolls of toilet paper. Best of luck to you, my internet neighbor. Hope it helps. P.S. Caps is not yelling. Bruh, thank you very much. Bruh. I don't know if you watched The Amazing Lucas, but bruh now is Lucas. Thank you very much. Sincerely. And thank you, everybody. It's not the amount. Everybody who gives super chat, supports me on PayPal, Patreon, subscribe star, buys a shirt. Thank you very much for the support. It makes it not relaxing to do this because there's always the stress. It makes it feasible to continue doing this because everybody needs to eat and everybody needs to pay mortgage, even if the government gives a moratorium for a month. Thank you very much, bro. Now, this is the question. Caps is not yelling. When I see Caps, I don't see yelling. I see my aunt. My aunt is, bro, you might not like this. My aunt is 80, 81. She's old in California, and all of her emails are caps, and it's the funniest thing in the world because she's not yelling. I think she does it so that she can more easily see the text. Yeah, well, we're good on TP, but the TP that I made, the homemade TP, was cost ineffective, time ineffective, and it left evidence, to put it mildly. But thank you very much, bro. And I'll see you. I'm not sure which neighbor you are. I'm not sure if you're South Ontario, New Brunswick, or the Yukon, but good to see you. Let's see here. I know we just saw one. Jason McConnell. Jason in the house. Any thoughts on the constitutionality, or even the legality of the Premier's Council of Federation? I cannot venture an educated opinion on it, which makes me ignorant. I'm going to screenshot this one as well. Put it in my notebook for things to talk about afterwards. Jason, thank you very much for the super chat, but I'm going to look into that. I'm not sure what it is. But I'm more interested in the constitutionality of the restrictions that have been put into place. But if we all make it through this and the economy gets back on track with minimal crippling effects or minimum lasting effects, well, I'll be happy enough not to complain. But we need to learn the proper lessons for if and when this ever has to be done again, that we should not not react the same way we did here. Anthony Plack says, Viva, I'm going to assume my question is a future vlog. Wisconsin election drama with 2 Supreme Court rulings on Monday. I would love to hear your insights. I saw this. I have not had time to even get to this screenshotting as well. Yeah, I'm gonna look into it. I need some more stuff that's not. Well, I mean, I guess that's going to be my Sharon Osiris related. But let's see here. Caps are to be seen more easily in speech. The equivalent would be shouting or speaking in a different pitch than usual. Yeah, it is funny. Well, there's certain people I know when they put caps on, like Twitter, it's not to see more clearly. So let's see here. What else we got? Did I miss anybody? Let me see if I can get some comments here. Patreon. I know a fleet lot of doesn't like. I know a lot of people don't like Patreon, but at some point, some people just need platforms that they can go through to support. I don't like. I've had my issues with Patreon. But I have my issues with YouTube as well. At some point, you can't cut off your nose to spite your face, and people who want to support you, you can't tell them that I'm not giving you the means to. I'm not giving you a platform to support me because I have an issue with them. I prefer. PayPal takes 5%. It's definitely the easiest. It's transactional, so it doesn't require monthly stuff. But people have issues with Patreon. Not Patreon. Sorry, people have issues with PayPal as well. There is no perfect platform out there, but the issue is not to cut off your nose to spite your face, and not to allow your supporters to support you. I speak louder and slower for the French. Well, I am an Anglo-Quebecer, although I speak the French as well. But speak louder and slower. Let me see here. I know a different language when I see one. Vigelm Selmsi. How did I do? What else we got here? My daughter went to a birthday party on Zoom with a bunch of friends. We have a family Zoom on Sundays, and it's cool. It's the funny thing is, the irony is that we end up seeing more of our out of town relatives than we would have otherwise seen. We might have seen them for Passover, Easter, but we don't see them during when they live. I got siblings in Ontario, the States, California. I mean, the States, California. And we go months without seeing or even talking to each other. As it is now, we're doing a weekly Zoom thing, which is great. Something we would have never done otherwise. So it is cool. The only difficulty is, kids have friends and they can't see their friends, and it's going to build character. It's building character for the kids because they know it is temporary to some extent. They're learning how quickly the world can go. I don't want to say crazy, but how quickly things can change, because you read about this in books, you see it in movies, and you say like, we'll never live through, the restrictions that existed under World War II. And overnight, life can change. Viva, are you in the United States? It's 6:30 p.m. where I am. What time is there, please? It is 1:30 in the afternoon. I have no idea what day of the week it is. It's Saturday. I see it. I just saw it right there. It is, yeah, so I'm East Coast, Eastern Standard Time. Let's see what we got here. Viva made a Freudian slip. Cali is not part of the USA. No, because I one of my siblings, some of my siblings used to be in New York. Some are in, relatives are in Florida. I have relatives in California. So but yeah, no. I once had a Spyderco knife. For anybody who knows what Spyderco is, it was called. Oh my good God! Okay, sorry. I had a Spyderco knife. It was called the Cricket. Coolest knife on earth. It was about this big, and I sent it back to Spyderco for repairs, and it disappeared. Never got it back. 6 months later, the knife appears in the mail, and it had gone. Look at that. Oh, that just popped in my glasses. It had gone to. It went to, I don't know where this. It went to California as opposed to Canada, and it was. But I finally got the knife back. It was like the knife that had been all over the world. So yeah, the major confusion is between CA on letters. Sometimes they go to California and not Canada. Viva Frei, would you go on the Steven Crowder show? I would go on. I think I'd go on pretty much anywhere. I would have to have a very darn good reason to not go on a show. It would have to be like an objective. I mean, I've gotten requests to go on shows where I just couldn't do it. Not in a judgmental way, but just because it would be too. It would be not not on brand, but it would. There's stuff that I would listen to, but I wouldn't want to necessarily be on that show type thing. Thank you very much. So I would go on Crowder. I mean, he definitely does and says things I wouldn't do, but I don't think it is as offensive. I don't think it's cancel worthy offensive in terms of a platform. But funny is I'd go on CNN. I'd go on MSNBC. I don't believe in this like restricting where you go on ideological reasons, but for the most extreme examples. That bubble went really close to the camera. I'd go, and I would go on Joe Rogan, but I think I genuinely don't think I'm interesting enough or controversial enough, or I don't think I would not garner a crowd. So okay, this might be the time to start winding things down for real now. But I would do it. Let's see what we got here. Crowder is like Chevy Chase, tries hard to be funny, and he just doesn't have it. I mean, I've seen a bunch of his stuff, like his music videos. It's like
You're talking to no one.
I'm talking to the world right now. Okay. El Rojo Grande. Yeah. Okay. So let me see this here. Viva Frei. I spoke of you on Redacted tonight. In Russia today calls you. All blame me. Okay. Oh, okay. Go upstairs. I'll be up there in 5 minutes. I was asked at one point. Go. Get out of here. This is not children's conversation. Get out. I was once asked to talk on a documentary on a subject, which I said no to because first I don't. I'm not an expert, but there's subjects that it's one thing to talk about certain things on a channel, but it's another thing to know your limits, to know where you should not venture. But if RT, there's been a lot of oversimplified demonizing of entities based on ideological preferences. I don't believe in that type of conduct in the world. There's a lot of bubbles coming out of that thing. What kind of glue is that? Okay, Catastrophe says, just call it Kelly the DPRCA. It makes more sense. I don't know what that means, and I don't know if I'm in trouble for having read it, but I'm not in the habit of overlooking super chats, but don't abuse of the super chat, people. I know that I missed. Did I miss one here? No, I believe I just missed a super chat. Okay, that was one. Oh, guys, did I just miss a super chat? Oh, geez, what just happened here? I can't. Okay, so there are bubbles now on my finger pad, which is making it difficult to do this.
Your phone.
And on my phone, it's okay. So what do we say? We're now in 20 minutes. We'll go for a few more minutes. Just make sure I didn't forget anything. I'm going to see if I can read some comments. We got Chucky Lives. I was going to say Chucky Lives. That's an interesting way of reading it. Good day, Viva. Thanks, and see you in the funny papers with bubbles. This is Tabasco Canine Academy says that was a hilarious TP vid. Fleet wife shut up with a frying pan. Yeah, the tomato with the peanut butter at the end. I had two endings to that video. One was going to be me on a toilet, from the camera from the outside, screaming that it didn't work. But the other one would be the other one I came up with is stick toilet paper in the nook of a tomato, and it worked out very well. Viva Shapiro, Viva stream would be interesting. Yeah, there's something to work with there because I sometimes agree with him, I sometimes disagree with him, and I'm told we both talk very fast. Okay, get out of here. Here, do me a favor. Take this to Mom because it needs to go into the dishwasher. No, okay, whatever. It would. I would go there as well. I mean, it's caps are to be seen more easily. Okay. Hello, thanks for the bubbles, Michel Jolin. Nice to see you again. Your girls are awesome. Anthony Plack. We're doing. I mean, we're fortunate because we actually do get along to some extent. There's 1 hour every day where everyone's temper and everyone's frustration levels are at an all-time high, but we're doing good and it's nice and we're fortunate. I lived in California in my Viva Frei, Sassy 1962. I lived in California all my life. 3 years ago, I left. It is now a hellhole, no longer the treasured paradise I grew up in. It's I've read the okay, now I got to read because I've heard that sentiment shared a lot. People are leaving to go to Texas. Democratic People's Republic of California. Right. They do have some interesting laws in California. I mean, I did one video on that. I'm not going to remember what it was, but we bought a backpack here that said this backpack contains toxins that are known to the state of California to cause cancer. And I did a whole I did a whole vlog on that. Good day, Viva. Out in BC, we have the guns out, and when things go really south, we will be ready. And it was with Comrade. Okay, hunt. We might have to hunt, but we're not getting to that stage. I'm not. I know a lot of people are nervous, but we're not getting to that stage. Okay, we got. I don't know. What was that?
Bacon.
Okay. Whew. I should know better than eating random things my kid gave me. One time I was lying in bed and the kid put his fingers in my mouth and said, boo boo. And I was like, oh, and I kissed his fingers and I thought it was a boo boo. Then I felt something in my mouth and I said, what? And he says, booger. And he just put a booger in my mouth. That was a raisin. I'm very happy. Mary, you want to say hi? Oh, sorry, I just had the raisin stuck in my throat.
Does everyone like the bubble effect?
It's, the production value in the Viva Frei studios. If I can get some dry ice with our next order of groceries, we'll do like the whole smoke thing. What is that? I think these are bubbles. If you're talking about the bubbles, we got bubbles. That's what it is. Oh no, that was the raisin. We got Radim Neshut. Radim Neshut says hello. We got Sebastian's Papa. Hello. Let me see here. Gravy Dag says, "Hey Viva, are you able to practice law anywhere in Canada, or can lawyers only practice in their province state?" You can. I could practice. I could do federal law outside of Quebec, but not common law in common law provinces unless I'm certified to do common law in those provinces. And people who are certified common law can't practice in Quebec unless they pass civil law. So, but within the other provinces, I'm pretty sure anybody from other provinces can practice in other provinces because they're all common law and we're civil law. But the federal law is across the country. So we got here. Dapper Dave says, "Ask your wife about what she thinks about the WHO, the band or the World Health Organization." Always straight. Hold on one second. Hold on. What did I say? What a beautiful family. Thank you very much, Hannah Anthony Black. Who wants more bubble? We want more bubbles. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna clean my keyboard after this. Always assume Quebec is the exception. Well, Quebec is the exception, and actually, it's funny. Even in this Schmendrick, Quebec is the exception, where we are following the rules apparently more than the rest of Canada. We are remaining more optimistic than the rest of Canada. And now Jason.
Our health minister yesterday said that maybe they would send the kids back to school early.
Oh God.
What do I think about the WHO?
Joshua Cornelius says, "Gotta put the kid on the payroll now." we gotta
need more bubbles.
We need more payroll. Do you guys work for Bubbles? They work for Bubbles. Jason McConnell says, "This is the most wholesome bubble show Club Super has ever done." Bravo, Montreal. If anybody doesn't know what Club Super Sexy is, it is like Montreal's most well-known. It's a well-known club, gentleman's club, right on par with the other one is Chez Paré. Okay, sorry. Thank you very much, Jason. Thank you very much, Joshua. Joshua, you said it was your last one 3 ones ago. Do the duck dance. What's the duck dance? Bubble in the eyes. Yeah, Bubbles. There was a stand-up comic who said, Bubbles are the greatest thing in the world right up until you get one right in the eyeball.
Live stream just went a little on that.
Okay.
Side.
Still looking for legal to cover. What about the Tiger King? So I've got the Tiger King on the back burner. I have the pro se lawsuit, which I'm going to be doing sooner than later. People have to the law of vlogs take a long. I mean, all vlogs take a long time to do. We all watched one episode of the Tiger King. We haven't got 2 episodes.
2.5. No,
it's not for kids. It's not for kids.
We have to vet the episodes before we can watch them. So yeah, I'm on the Tiger King. But now I got to go watch Legal Eagle's video to see if he said anything about me. Bubbles are special effects in Viva's show. It's cool. Okay, shall we do it? We shall wind up. People, wait, I see something that just came in. Radim Neshut says, Radim Nekut. It's Czech. Sorry for boggling your mind. No worries. It's very cool. Yeah. Welcome to the stream. We got number 3 down here. You know what's missing from this vlog are the dogs. By the way, Radim, thank you very much for the super chat. Okay, so I think we're going to call this. Do I want to end this at 1 minute, at 1 hour 30? All right, Mila, tell the world, how do you feel about the being locked down with your parents and family for 5 weeks?
It sucks.
That's not what you said when we were playing paddleball. The bubbles are beautiful. 90 Knot says, "Thanks so much, Viva." Well, this was not where I thought the stream was going to go, but this is what happens. Did you guys not put Groundhog on again? Just put it on repeat.
No.
Stay well, everyone. You too, Joel Villeneuve, please. It's we're gonna. She's out. Have a good Easter, all of you. I don't know if you say Happy Easter. If you haven't seen my video on Viva Random, by the way, Viva Random, I did a social distancing Easter egg hunt with the neighborhood kids because being the YouTube guy, they have me do the Easter egg hunt with the kids and make videos about it. But this year we couldn't do it, so I did social distancing Easter egg, which consists basically of printing up Easter eggs, coloring them in with the kids because that's what they do, hide them outside, take pictures of where they are hidden, pictures that are not too close to be useless but not too far to give it away, and then you email or message those pictures to your neighbor friends who then go out and try to find them. Ours weren't too hard, but
Hey,
they were hard.
I couldn't find any.
You're out of bubbles. Jussie Smollett update. I don't think there's any news on Jussie Smollett, and I think there won't be any for a little while, but I'll check. But when there's meaningful news, I was going to read through the new indictment, but I'm not. Okay, there's a part of a conversation here that I just saw that I don't think I'm going to go for. Okay, I'm ending this at exactly 1 hour and 30 minutes on the nose. So I'm going to go to the end broadcast, and I'm going to hit the end broadcast in 22 seconds. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for the super chats. Thank you all for the comments, the questions. Stay well. Thank you all for the raisins. Stay healthy, stay safe, stay sane.
Stay bubbles.
Stay bubbles. And we're just going to count it down together. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, end broadcast.